Well, on tonight's programme, we're looking at what would happen if we left the European Union. And throughout the programme, our business correspondent, Sarah Smith, will try to separate fact from fiction. First of all, Sarah looks at the budget they're wrestling with in Brussels.
If we were to leave the European Union, we would see an immediate change in the budget because we'd no longer be contributing to European spending. Last year, the UK's net contribution was £5.8 billion. That makes us the second biggest contributor behind Germany, who put in £9 billion. We paid in more than France, who put in £5.2 billion. So is that a lot of money? Well, it only adds up to 0.8% of total government spending, but it would allow you to knock 1 pence off income tax and 4.5p off fuel duty.
Well, we want to hear your views on all this. Please tweet using the hashtag #ExitEurope. And later in the programme, we'll feed some of these tweets into our discussions. As you see, we've several people here with us, so let's kick off tonight's discussion by talking to Roland Rudd. He's the chairman of Business for New Europe, which supports the UK's membership of the EU, and to the Conservative MP Mark Reckless, who led the rebellion on the EU budget vote in the House of Commons last month. Roland Rudd, first of all, is it value for money? Let's be candid. I mean, that's a lot of money. 5.2 billion. You saw from Sarah's report. Is it value for money?
It looks a lot of money, but you've got to look at it in the wider context of the benefits that we get from the European Union. You've got to think about foreign direct investment. Over half of all foreign direct investment comes from the European Union. Now, experts say that if we were to leave, around 100 billion of that would be lost. That could amount to hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of jobs that are at stake here.
Well, I'm going to look at the trading and the business situation
Sure.
later, but it's the pure budget I'm wondering. Is it, we have to pay that in order to have the relationship with Europe, and what do we get for it?
Well, we get a single market that Margaret Thatcher signed up to and transferred the greatest amount of sovereignty ever by any British Prime Minister, because she realised that if you have, which now 27 states, all with one set of regulations for when you trade business goods, that is worth a price
Right.
worth paying.
Well, Mark Reckless, you'd be a fan of Margaret Thatcher. She signed up to it. Was she wrong?
Well, when the single market started, there was mutual recognition of different standards across different countries. But what it's become is not a single market, but a single set of regulations where you're not allowed to sell in that market unless you abide by those regulations. And obviously, when we sell to the EU, we have to abide by their laws.
Yeah, but you've got to have a budget that deals with the market. A market doesn't come free.
But if I can finish, we shouldn't apply all that regulation to our domestic economy and to our exports to third countries. And the budget, actually, the gross contribution, which I think is what matters, not what we pay after we get back things that we wouldn't choose to spend it on, was actually last year £18.5 billion. That's more than we spend on the whole of policing.
Well, the government's own figure is that it's 0.8% of the entire government spending budget. You're saying that is too much to pay for a single market.
Well, I don't think we need to pay into that budget in order to sell goods and services to the EU. I'd also like to sell those goods and services.
Well, the other people in the market are going to say, my dear Mark Reckless, do come and trade with us, then you don't have to pay a bean, we'll pay the money.
Well, that's exactly what they say to Switzerland, which pays a token contribution to the budget and exports 4 times more per head to the EU than we do. But we should be selling to the big emerging markets in the world and trying to negotiate free trade deals across the world, and ones where we can sell our business services into third markets. And the EU, when it negotiates, it doesn't focus on the interest that we have in business and financial services.
Let's cut to the chase. You just rip it up and say, let's get out, we'll trade with the rest of the world.
Well, I would like us again to be an independent country, trading with Europe, but governing ourselves once again.
And you would very briefly say?
Well, I'd say there are 46 free trade agreements the European Union has signed, which we've been part of. We come out of that, we have to, according to Mark, renegotiate each single one of those. It would take a decade or more to even begin to achieve what the European Union has done for us as being one of 27 members.
OK, well, let's hold it there, because we've had trade weaving in and out here.